do it again. Have a 5K or whatever it takes, but,
I can hear you.
Sorry. That day we petition, not a petition, a survey of interest. And we have 850 people who are interested in ice rink in the gorge, and the numbers keep adding up every week. But we're committing our time, and there's others on the board that are committing their time to try and bring an ice rink to the kids and make it a better place for the future. But if you look at lot one, it is the crown jewel that's left, and it's amazing. The town has grown up, and this beautiful piece of land is still there for something to be done. And so we dreamed up, maybe an outdoor soccer field, having a swimming pool. And that's, I don't have any support from the swimming pool people, or we, I should say, and an ice rink and indoor soccer and indoor lacrosse. And maybe that could be flex space, and you could do quinceañeras or have small trade shows. So, but we were asked to come tonight, and that's kind of where we're at. We'd love to help.
A community center slash, that sort of thing is what Haley, Idaho do in case by every time, or you want to talk about that, but it's amazing because it was a victory all the way around. It wasn't just an ice rink, it was the whole program. So that's where Mark's vision here is pretty impressive.
Ben, do you want to address timelines at all?
Yeah, on several of those. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about why there's nothing on. And I think using the term lot one is not a very good idea tonight. I'll explain why. You guys should be talking about if you want the foundation to be directed toward recreation or waterfront, that would be a better term. There's nothing on several lots down there because the infrastructure does not allow it. It does not exist. So you can want to put whatever you want down there, but you're not going to be able to do it, says ODOT. So that's why you've read in the paper lately that we're trying to make some infrastructure improvements down there. We're currently working with ODOT. We have some grants, and most of it's traffic infrastructure. But there's no power or water there either, but it's mostly traffic infrastructure. So right now, the intersection to get down to the waterfront is a stop sign. If we do nothing and build nothing down there, that intersection quote unquote fails in 2031, meaning we can keep it the same as it is, and you're doing nothing after 2031 unless you redo the intersection. If you put in a stop light, it's 2 more years, 2033, and that's with doing nothing down there. If we do the roundabout route, that allows for full build out of the waterfront, which means lot one, something by Jensen if you wanted to, the parking lots, maritime redevelopment, it means all of it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going that route first. And we're working with ODOT currently. We have some grants. We're currently in the process with them. It just takes a lot of time. Nothing will be built down there before that's done. And
So
that's
your roundabouts phase one.
it's phase one. Redoing First Street is phase two of the same project.
Yeah.
And we're hoping if we get through ODOT and then get the funds, we're hoping for 27, 28 construction. Getting that project done, it's going to take a while, but that needs to be done. And then that allows us to build, and what goes where doesn't matter that project. You have to do the infrastructure first. As part of the process with ODOT, when they start doing, because the road in front, Riverside Drive, that's an ODOT road. If you're going to the sewage treatment plant, ODOT road. Go straight, like you're going to go straight to the waterfront of the event site. That's a city of Hood River Road. Turn right to go to the gas station. That's a port of Hood River Road.
Oh, wow.
So there's all kinds of mixed jurisdictions. The port wants to do this. The city would be more than happy, I would think, for the port to pay for an infrastructure improvement for them. But ODOT's the big one. And because we have I-84 right there.
Yeah.
So we're in that process with ODOT now. Of designing that roundabout, make sure the engineering is right. We have to do it approved by them. As part of the analysis that they do, we needed to submit, hey, maybe it could be a park, maybe it could be you list some potential uses down there. What are the potential uses for waterfront? And you're not specific, it could be these things. Having a discussion, an open discussion about developing something on any lot down there, it doesn't matter if it's lot one or another one, I think would be very premature because we don't want ODOT to say, wait a second, that's not what you said. Wait a second, you guys are planning something, because then you go back and start over. And so any idea is a good one. I've heard rec center before. I've heard all kinds of things before. All ideas are good, but having any kind of planning for a specific anything down there right now, I don't think would be in the best interest of the community. Doesn't mean.
We met,
Can't talk about it.
yeah, no, those are great pieces of intel. Thank you. I know there's always a lot more of a story to do something like
It's
this.
the boring part that we're working hard to do.
A lot of this intel, we had the discussions on with Arthur. Mark and I did. And, it seemed like, specifically the roundabout, but also potential development of lot one. I see what you're saying. I think from also talking with Christie and Arthur, just the discussion that I thought was valid for now is to begin to say, hey, what could be done with lot one? It seems a little strange to have to wait till the roundabout is in to try and.
I'm only saying, I would talk about waterfront and not just lot one. I would just talk waterfront specifically with focus with this is about its foundation, not about port planning.
Yeah.
Only because we have been speaking to ODOT, we don't want to, we're in a submittal phase with them.
I see.
It would make it like very difficult to think we're just planning for lot one. So if that's what you guys want a foundation to focus on would be whatever, talk about them. I think we want the foundation to focus its funds on them, but that's perfect. That's what this is about. But I think a lot one or in anything down their planning session is very premature, and not something the board is going to entertain right now. But that doesn't mean, don't talk about it through the lens of the foundation.
I think if I could just jump on that. So the main reason that this committee or group is coming together is that the port is going to stop receiving tolls in July of 2026 for non-bridge related activities. So for generations, the tolls have subsidized the waterfront rec, and those days are going to be coming to an end less than 2 years away. So part of what the commission has asked staff to do is to look at new business opportunities to generate positive net income that can backfill the loss of tolls to support the waterfront. And Daryl, I'm the budget officer for the port, and Daryl and I work on the annual budget, and there's been talks about a nice bathroom facility, a hose down facility, additional access points to the river. Things of that nature that are kind of on the perimeter of the waterfront. And so, and there's never been funds available to do that work, much less actually the day-to-day O&M. And so the commission thought that, if there was a foundation and the group identified some capital outlay projects, whether it's a new bathroom facility or whatever, that the foundation could then say, hey, these are the projects we're working on, and we can get very creative in how to actually fund that without tolls. So that's a little bit of the backdrop to that, and it's not focused on any of the development issues, of which there are many confronted with the port. But anyway, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, no, that's really good information to start with. I guess as Gretchen and I have been talking, we want to have the foundation needs to have, like I said before, a general purpose, a general idea of where we want to focus our attention. And then we can identify specific projects of the foundation. And that is important for the foundation specifically, correct? For legalities.
Well,
talk about.
Well, there's a lot along the waterfront and the port. There's a lot of opportunities for things that can be helped and fixed. And we're trying to make sure the Port of Hood River Foundation has a really clear mission. And one project they've already started looking at is developing a license plate that would generate revenue for the foundation. And part of that is picking specific projects that those funds would be designated to. So part of this meeting was to kind of pick your brains and see what are the pinch points that you see, what are the, a lot of you were down at the river a lot in the summer. And so you know, what are the headaches? What are the frustrations? What do you think, are there not enough accessibility points for SUP boards or kayaks or whatnot? And maybe those are things that the Port of Hood River Foundation is really going to hone in on and decide, yes, that's a great idea. Let's really focus on that. It's kind of where we're at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's like, when we were chatting the other day, your comment made a lot of sense to me, which was to keep the statement broad enough. I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, but it was like broad enough that it can encompass different projects as we move along,
Mhm.
and that, but specific enough that it doesn't get hijacked for some other, like fixing potholes, or, just
Right.
examples.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so that made sense.
Plus, as people are coming into town, a lot of the people that are visiting and using the waterfront in the summer are not locals. And so they would have the opportunity to donate to the spaces that they're using and they love and they want to maintain and keep going so they can keep coming back every year. And so this would they can designate giving to specific projects, or they can designate just to the foundation as a whole.
And it gives a good, I'm gonna, what's my, like a certain reputation for the port. Like it is good to give back and to feel that, and which we did a lot when we were working with sailing with the club. We felt it a lot from the port. Like they were, and Daryl, of course, it was very much this, working together and making sure that things were good for everybody, and it felt really great, which I think it's an important piece, that the port feels that way to the community and that the community feels it back. I think that's a huge piece of the foundation too.
We're really, it's really important to the board members that this is very transparent. Our purpose is transparent, clear, because the port does have a bad reputation, sometimes just because of things are out of the course,
Well, and things like what Ben was just talking about, like that nobody else hears or knows of because nobody else wants to be bored by it. But yeah.
It wasn't boring, Ben.
When you finish your introductions, could you explain the foundation? This is a new one, and I'm sure other people would like to know, what is a foundation if you have a port? Is this another new body that's being created, or, but,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mark hasn't introduced himself yet.
Sorry.
No, no worries. Yeah, I was actually just coming to listen a little bit tonight, but I can introduce myself as well. I wasn't on the invite list. So I was more about just dropping in to hear what you're talking about. But I'm Mark Hickok. I'm the executive director of the Hoover Valley Parks and Recreation District. I served on the Waterfront Advisory Committee for the port for the last 8 years. This is actually fascinating to hear. We've been doing a very similar thing with the Parks District. So, last year we went for a bond and levy Parks District to rebuild the pool and to fully fund all of the things that we do and try and get the funding in order to expand. And that was failed pretty miserably. And so we have been spending the last year kind of looking at the scope of what we were looking for. We were trying to do a large community center and a much bigger pool. That we hired some architects and did that, and we're looking at scaling that back to more something in line with what the community said they wanted, which is more of a replacement of expanding people and some other things. But we are interested in this stuff. Ice rink folks, work, and the others have reached out and talked to us about things. We're not part of their group, but we are just talking to them right now and helping kind of advise them on a couple of things. But we've also the pool where the district has talked about different locations for the pool. About one has been brought up for our districts. Board has stated that they're not interested in having a pool in that area. A lot of the reasons because of what Ben's talking about, how long it would take for infrastructure to get built and all of that stuff, and the pool's falling apart right now. Also, just our we're paid for 100% with taxpayers, the local taxpayers, and we are always looking at that for our audience. A little bit different for Ford. Ford oftentimes is looking at the fact that tourists and everything. Tourists don't pay our bills. We do know that tourists can help, you know, with the admission fees and such, but we look at like our site right now being across the street from the middle school and down the street from, you know, walking to the elementary schools. And we think that being in the center of town is a spot that we really want to be. But that's not to say things might not change in the future, and so we'd like to be open conversations and hear what else is going on. The other thing that was that's kind of eerie to this is we have also just created a new foundation with a new group for the that is helping the Parks District with funding a lot of these same conversations. When I heard the conversation about like make it broad enough to where we can accept new projects, but that's specific enough to where someone doesn't hijack it. It does the exact same conversations like a month ago. But that foundation has just been formed as well. In fact, they had a meeting at noon today, talking about very similar things, specifically focusing on the pool. It'd be nice to be able to coordinate these things and have these groups talk and see this sort of thing. Yeah, for the most part, just to after I talk to them, I'm just here to listen.
No, that was good.
Can I add just a little?
Yeah.
thing? We've looked at Haley, Idaho, and Haley, Idaho, there's a very successful rink that's run by a nonprofit. And they were granted, they were given a 99-year lease on a piece of land to build the rink. But then they found their nonprofit raised all the money and financed the whole rink. And the continuing operations pay for it. So that's kind of the dream we have.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can find dreamers for soccer and, you know, another dreamer for a swimming pool and then put all this stuff together at the waterfront, not at lot one, at the waterfront. It could make a really beautiful thing. When I talk to people about the port, they all think of the toll.
Yeah.
When you guys know it, everyone hates the port because they got to pay the toll. And they don't, I think a lot of people don't even realize what a beautiful waterfront the port has created for all of us. It's really a special place. And we're so lucky to have it. And the three of us and others are hoping to get on board and make it better. And
Yeah, we
get
definitely.
the population on the port side.
Well, my opinion is, I don't want to end the discussion as a rec center on lot one. But that would be down the road from, this current discussion. Cause I think, like Ben said, it's out of order, but we don't want to end the discussion. But for this current session, like Mark brought up, we're gonna come up with, a purpose for the foundation, and then we can talk about specific projects. And hopefully we have millions of dollars coming in and we can think big. But we do need to consider, the think tank group consensus of, the direction the foundation is gonna be headed. And, as far as the foundation, it's not a new government entity, it's a nonprofit. I'm sure everybody knows the port doesn't have a tax base of these entities. And, I don't think so.
Then 100,000 total
100,000.
for an $8 million operating budget.
Yeah, and our tolls are going away, so, you know, we have leases and parking. We don't want to keep raising parking for the locals to pay for things. And so we're looking for new ways to bring in funding to keep things running wonderful and beautiful and, keep the community with a beautiful waterfront and amenities that have toilet paper.
And I think that your definition of community or your use of the word community there is what jumps out to me, because all of that is aligned with everybody's goals here, right?
Right.
Whether it's whatever the use is, ensuring that it supports the community and isn't, you know, sold off to the highest bidder is, I think, the unifying sentiment.
I agree. And the board of commissioners, we're all just people that live there, we're volunteers. I'm a retired firefighter. I'm not, I'm expert on anything except for I have a boat in the marina. I sail in the water. I just use all the money. I used to have an airplane at the airport. So I use support stuff and I thought, well, it's my time to give back. I want what's best for people who live here. I want best for people who visit. I have no agenda except for to keep things awesome for our healthy water, healthy like land, just make it pretty and inviting and safe. And so yeah, we just want ideas of and you guys how to move forward with that. And Gretchen maybe can like
I just had a couple questions we could kind of discuss as a group for people that are in and out of the waterfront a lot. For example, when you're using the waterfront, what do you see that is working really well? What do you see that's like, they're nailing it, no notes, no improvements needed? Is there anything, or are we like, there's a long list of things that need to be addressed?
I really like the rigging stations that you guys have put up in the hook. Those are great.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the
Yeah, the path is getting used more and more.
Yeah.
For people from walking the dogs to rollerblading
Oh, yeah.
Biking along there,
or the walk of shame.
or the walk of shame. Yeah.
Hey, walk of shame. I mean,
Yeah, the park itself is beautiful. You guys did such a great job there. It is, it single-handedly changed the waterfront completely. I remember when it was gravel, watched it.
Yeah,
Oh, it
the
is.
waterfront park is city owned. I mean, we'll kind of take it, but only credit, no complaints for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, only credit taken.
So that's the city. Does that mean that the buildings and the restaurants and so on behind that, is that you guys?
Pieces of it.
Pieces of it?
Okay. So the port owns the building that we live in,
Okay.
but then, the other buildings right behind where the soul is different from that, those are privately owned.
Yeah.
What's the?
Do you remember when there was nothing down there and the commission before my time when Commissioner Short?
Yeah.
Was here, built that Halyard building where Bream is kind of to show people, hey, we can do something down here.
Well, great
And
job.
then it's further the private development next to it. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that's kind of what happened.
And the port owns the,
Yeah.
what we call just like all the, this is the city.
Okay.
The port owns this is referred to Maritime. We right now have a parking lot scheduled for
I heard about that.
this is the Jensen building, this is owned by the port. And so this is port parking, business parking, and this is all port in here, and then all out and share down to the end. So that's all port, and then port has the boat. And
So the only piece of waterfront is the city, is that?
right.
I see.
Huh. So that can really suddenly at the land.
And you guys did this here?
The waterfront trail.
Yeah, it's great. Really nice.
And the other area that other people talk a lot about is the Marina Green, and this is all port as well. And port staff is supposed to call it Marina 1 and 2. Nobody knows what you're talking about. This is Chamber DMV building, and so that's another area under consideration. So of how we can make that better and maybe develop that.
So, are there columns in that building?
Columns.
Yeah.
He wants his ice rink now.
Oh, yeah. Right now it's leased by multiple businesses. They do a lot of shipping and receiving.
Yeah. It's fairly vacant, a fair amount too.
I don't know about that. Tofurkey's been in there for years and years.
It's probably one of our better job supporters. I mean, there's probably dozens of jobs supported out of that building specifically. There's some batten manufacturing companies for wind sails and that sort of thing, Perky.
Sure. Lawrence Way.
Yeah, permit, lease is part of it as well on the backside.
Yeah. Just thinking outside the box, I had to ask.
The outrigger canoe, whole setup works great.
The Outrigger Canal.
I tried doing it for a little bit. It wasn't for me, but it's good. But it's a super fun way to get on the river for people who, aren't many people. And, I think that's a great community resource. And what Fiona has done is incredible. And you see so many kids down there learning to get on the water because of Fiona. And, it's a beautiful thing in this town.
Yeah, Frog Beach is used a ton. That area
Oh, yeah.
is very popular. So what are some of the kind of pinch points when people are out, like when you've got your hundreds of kids down there or you're doing jet team? What are the things you're like, oh, I wish we're here, or needs to be here for safety that we're not seeing?
It's a tough question. We essentially are running a YMCA out of a flat car. Really, especially, the numbers of people that were moving in and out of the water. The emphasis has got to be water safety. So how do you control that? We control it by certain numbers of people and kids at the same time in the water. Daryl had asked if we wanted a different space rather than the dock last year, and the answer came, we discussed it, but the answer was, in order to keep kids safe, we need containment. We couldn't have them crossing the road with a stand-up board, that kind of thing. I mean, those are basic elementary, concerns. I'm gonna throw a question out to this group. Hood River's a relatively small town, we don't have huge, influx of money. And if Parks and Recs is creating a foundation and ice skating is creating, a nonprofit, we end up in this morass of all scrambling for nonprofit dollars. So I think maybe Brian was asking as well, how does this meeting fit into that scenario?
Well, we're specific to the waterfront. Well, no, this meeting is specific. The foundation actually is gonna have two branches, one that will be airport, one that will be waterfront. And as far as funds, I think Gretchen mentioned one of our funding sources potentially will be one of the Oregon custom license codes in the process of applying for. And that would pour into the Port of Hood organization. And that has the potential to make a lot of money. And then that would be the primary funding source for the foundation at this point, but we're just getting started with this.
It seems like when you're asking pinch points and stuff, I definitely think that what you're saying about having bathrooms available when we bring kids down, which we did for a while, and COVID kind of axed our kids program, but we've been trying a couple of attempts to get them back. And we have helped Ellen and Fiona get theirs going in hopes of merging a little, or not merging, but like we're helping each other out in that. But I mean, you have kids, if you're doing it not in the middle summer months, you've got to get them into wetsuits somehow. And, then they're running from where we are, they're running over to a porta potty, which you don't know who's or what's going on, or a long ways to the event site. And that is a pinch point for us. And even the paddlers, we have 100 people in our club. And they run over to the event site, but then we start mid-April and, so it gets tricky for sure. And I also, one time we were kind of tired of it all being so not kept up, and so we all went out and mowed and edged that whole lot over there to make it look nice. So, and I think it means a lot to our community when the grounds that we spend time in look good, and you are like, when Shane was talking about the waterfront park, it is gorgeous, and the lots that are there with the port, they can be gorgeous, and
Yeah.
so I think that means a lot to people. I also think that safety is a big concern. Frog Beach gets nuts. And it really is like a point of access. So we access it and then we have to go out the little gauntlet for the outriggers, right? I just learned to steer those boats last year. They're 45 feet long. And our gauntlet, which everybody knows, the little access to get out of Nichols, it's maybe 5 feet wide. So to learn to steer that puppy on a windy day out that little gauntlet, and then you get the little swimmers, and it is tricky. There's no question. And so it's fun, it's a challenge. And then to come in, same thing on a windy day is not easy. So access points, I think, is huge for helping people feel comfortable. But we also have the marina, which is such just this thing that no one looks at, but it's great, right? And so how do you pull I don't know, I think there's a lot of waterfront things to tackle that can make the community feel really, really good. And I appreciate the ideas and the passion for the other stuff, but I also really can see that this is just my opinion, having a specific funded waterfront foundation, it is sort of the jewel of Hood River. If it can look like the jewel of Hood River and not like this jewel that we kind of look at sometimes, and sometimes we just play on it hard, I think it's worth considering something like what you're talking about, for sure.
You know my idea?
Yeah.
We want all the ideas.
I think that we should build a giant grass tunnel and 84 is completely hidden.
Ooh.
I like it.
I heard that last week. Yeah, we heard that. We heard that. Arthur.
He stole it from me.
Oh, did he?
It like Mercer Island did that. They were tired of looking at the highway, and they put up a great park that goes right over. I don't know, the 80 I-5 maybe, I don't remember. Is it 90? Yeah. It's not impossible.
Yeah, Boston, all the park, yep.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask, I mean, I'm guessing the number one income for the port once the bridge is gone is parking. Is that right?
Leases, probably leases,
Let's say that again.
leases.
Oh,
So we've got a number of commercial.
leases for your building.
Correct. Big 7 down on Wasco or Industrial Way. We have the Wasco building. So we've got, about 15 buildings that are big revenue generators, and they actually, most of them do a pretty good job of producing positive net income. Thing is, we don't want to use all of that for recreation because we need to start setting that aside for roofs.
We will come up with
HVAC.
recreation money.
That's the idea, is we need to start securing the money for the replacements of roofs and HVAC and windows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The parking is a big one. That's gonna be positive net income of about 200,000. 100% of that's going into waterfront rec.
Nice.
And the commission's looking at about 10 other opportunities where 100% of the positive net income backfills the loss of tolls to fund primarily waterfront rec.
Nice. You mentioned earlier, but if they have a complaint, of what maybe is not working down there, and I'm speaking on behalf of a major population of the hottest sport in the summer being Wayne Forum. I'm down there arguing, my wife's down there more than anyone. And I'm down there a fair amount, and I can tell you the negative comments that you guys are getting, it's specifically those two roads next to Lower Denson. And I do not understand what in the world, there is never more than 5 or 6 cars there any day of the week. And so why do you not open those spaces up to people that are paying the money and you're all of a sudden getting more money from it? Because the people that are paying for their passes to park and it's full, are frustrated at the port and that's just being straight Arlington.
I believe that's, some of that's employee parking for Lord Johnson.
It is, but it's never more than 6 slots and there's probably 50 slots there also.
Yeah.
We've got 13 spots that are leased and claimed. So
I know where those are.
Between Topher and RBS and Northway, they all get X amount of spots, so you might not see it all of the time, but like Turkey, they run night shifts and swing shifts, and
Yeah.
with their voting weekly, they get those spots, and then they also need to be able to bring the commercial trucks through, most on the other side.
I see.
But it's a really big part of the building and what they get with their lease.
So I understand that, thank you, Joe, because I definitely, you gotta have room for trucks coming in and out, and you have to have employee parking. What I'm telling you is, I'm not kidding here, it's 25% of those first 2 roads that are ever full that I've ever seen on any day, 365 days a year. So perhaps you could renegotiate with the leases in the building and how many spaces you're allowing, because I know Rudy's spot for free, and I know all the Northway slots. And I mean, you'd have people paying big money for those slots. So that, if you said one way that could improve it, my opinion is that's definitely what we'll look at. And by the way, that's incredible that you're doing this other lot there, huh? Right, Larry?
Yep.
Okay. I hate to see cars parked.
Point for you.
Okay.
We bring somebody from out of town, they want to eat and look at the water. And the only place that we feel we can do that is Vermont, when you're up high and you can see the water. So in the future, if you can put some restaurants along the water. I know this is a long way down the road, but I think people would love it. They'd love to, they want to see what's going on. And there's nowhere to sit for non-water people and enjoy the action. And I
You've been
support
here
your
long
hope.
enough to know the Gorge Cafe that you see in the.
Yep. I used to work there.
Went to my best friend's rehearsal dinner.
Yeah.
It was great.
When Rhonda Smith was here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I support a hotel where the B&B is. I think, I happened to be at the last meeting when that was discussed. Seems like it came out, people thought the green space was going away. But
That's gonna completely tank. I'm not gonna go there, but that's gonna tank a lot of things.
Well,
it's a real estate.
It's really tight right now, anywhere along the waterfront, and the more private businesses like that you put in, precludes future public access points.
What if you build more parking?
I feel like you're,
That's what Joni Mitchell said.
Well.
Well,
They built a parking deck, a little bit above ground, not a full story, but halfway up. You can build all that stuff and still have all that parking underneath. And charge for all those parking spaces. There's no question, parking's at a premium, especially in the summertime.
if you build up in a windy place where your recreators use the wind, you will lose opportunities for the recreators that you want to watch too.
To bring it back to, I think where the point of the meeting is what does this foundation do? And because we're talking a lot about building what ifs for a long time in the future, but back to the pinch points, I really like that you're bringing up bathrooms and stuff. I think that's really, when we're looking at the foundation, you really have to be thinking about what you need. And you said in under 2 years. It's like 14, 15 months away. But, you know, I mean, it's coming up that you are not going to have the money to pay for that. And like, to me, when I show up with my kids to swim and there is a porta potty in front of a perfectly good bathroom, like you've got the infrastructure there, you need to pay for the maintenance instead of having a porta potty there in like, you know, after school's already been let out. So like, I don't think the bathrooms opened up till after July 1st this last year. And it's just like that, like, you know, we only have 2 bathrooms with Parks and Rec, and I know the struggle behind taking care of them. I get lots of complaints about the skate park bathroom and how that, you know, we do the best we can, but we keep it open year round. We keep all our restrooms open year round, even though they're not heated. And during the winter, they'll, you know, when it gets down to freezing, we winterize it just for the couple days a year that it gets down below 20 degrees or so. We close them for those days and then close the whole rest of the year because I just don't like porta potties in front of working restrooms. So I think just keeping your focus right now on how we operate the system for the next couple of years. We'll continue to plan and think about these big things that we want to do in the future. I'm definitely a long-term thinker and a dreamer, but right now I think when you're looking at what this group is here to do, they're trying to figure out how to keep this place open the next couple of years when you lose your funding for it. That's just my
No, it's a good, I will tell you, any recreation facility that I've been in that's been successful, the toilets are like the #1 item. I can tell you at the Port of Anacortes, where we had 1,100 slips, 15,000 transient days a year, we had 2 exceptional 5-star restrooms for men and women, particularly for the women. Okay, because if the men wanted to get in their boat and go somewhere, and the woman said they don't have good toilets there, they're not going to go. Pretty simple stuff.
True.
It's pretty simple stuff. And then, so what I would,
Try getting a Hispanic kid in a porta potty and putting on a wetsuit for the first time. That doesn't work very well.
so the other thing, you talk about pinch points. As a commissioner, one of the things that we had as a discussion, we can't be all things to all people who want to get to the water. And so one of the things I would encourage Kevin is, so get with the Port of Cascade Locks and Stevens and Klickitat, Port of Klickitat and the Dalles, and see what resources, and begin to develop this image of, it's not just Hood River. There's all these other places that you can go adventure at. I go over and take my dog to Port of Klickitat over in Bench. There's hardly anybody there. And we put in, I did this in '86. So we put in over 100 yards of grass and showers. And we had bleachers. And we had of course, the speed trials over there, packed, people from all over. We had 63,000 cars go through there at the end of August of '89. Create a resort and say, here's the different ski slopes we have, so that this port doesn't have to be the only recipient of everybody wanting to get to the water. You have when we started Short Supply and Heights, I never wanted to move downtown because of summer burst. If summer goes away, if something hits the summer, you are done. And the pandemic was a really good element of, if this is what happens to you when you have a pandemic and people don't want to move, this is what happens to your business. This is the same thing. You've got a 90-day window. And you want to, if you have a lot of money to go, I'd be sitting down talking with Mark, because I just circled 3 things here he would love to have on that property they bought. The pool, the skating, the multi-purpose skating like they haven't been, you know, where it's roller skating for the year, ice skating for the rest of the year. And then I haven't seen the one that you guys talked about in Idaho. And then the open fields, well, that's what he does. It's really not the port's business to be a recreation field provider as much as it is Parks and Rec.
Oh, we want to work with Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Sure. I am working with Parks and Rec on the roller hockey program with Jaime and Gio, and they are awesome to work with. So thank you. Yeah.
But you can't be, I don't think, you don't have enough space to park everybody. You don't have enough access points for everybody. So if you want to give yourself some relief, start engaging the other ports and asking them, how can you participate? And let's create a regional flair, a regional brand, so that the reason people came to Benton was it wasn't as threatening as going across the river to the hatchery. You know, it's like, here's a beginner's place that you can get the water. It's relatively safe. So that's how we fashion ourselves. This just can't keep absorbing the growth of kite sailing and windsurfing, although windsurfing is more the gray-haired guys. But you know, all the oils and things that are showing up, and who knows what's next. And then you've got your group, okay, and the youth sailing group. I mean, everybody wants to be down there. Now, you're getting close to 8-9 months of the year, aren't you?
Are you talking about the outrigger?
Well, no, well, probably both. I'd ask the question of.
Well, with the outrigger group, we have the fence 6 months a year and the big boats 6 months a year, but the little boats go year round.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that's one of the things that I was involved in as a commissioner, was nurture that youth so that they understand what the river's all about, and they engage in sailing. Didn't matter what kind of sailing, but they engaged in sailing. Through the youth sailing program, they got an appreciation for, well, here's how a sail works. This is how you go out on the river. This is how you stay safe. This is how you build companionships. And eventually, this is how you compete. And that's what you've done. Took 10 years or so, but that's what you've done. So I have a totally different view on some of this. From the Best Western Hotel down to the Hook. That's one of the best walking areas in this whole area, you know, but it's not really promoted. Now, how do you generate revenue off that? I don't know, maybe your off-season parking, you know, where people come down and park their cars and then make that walk.
Did a great permit 5K, 5K.
Yeah.
Years ago. And that was my question, with the development, current infrastructure, access infrastructure, are you allowed to do temporary things there? Like if they did more of the flea markets and farmers markets and drew people to the, you know, the undeveloped space, not necessarily just the waterfront, but some of the other just undeveloped acres there, is that an acceptable use now, or would ODOT prevent that from happening?
That'd be more of a city permitting, and then get okay with the board, as long as the city permit, because we have, you know, we make agreements with, you see semi trucks parked there when it's middle of winter time.
Yeah.
Short-term uses like that don't require any infrastructure or anything like that. That's not what we're talking about.
Why is this farmers market in the middle, like in the smallest space you could possibly do in town? Why isn't it down on the waterfront on Saturday mornings and 3 times as big?
I've never seen a request from anybody on anything.
Okay, I'll go back to my time.
You may have.
Well, so on the south side of Lure Jensen, there's a sort of an incubator building that's there that's one level and goes pretty much the whole length. So there was a discussion about trying to get farmers market in that space there and have wind shears coming from either side, because once you set them up there, the wind just tunnels through. So that's your biggest issue is in the spring and summer is wind will deter them from. So yeah, they're still trying to find a home, but it's sorry, we didn't look at that one because we thought, I mean, great, because off season, you know, we're always looking for the shoulder months.
Yeah.
You know, the April, May, even in the March, but April, May for sure, and September, October. But your Gorge Marathon, they come right in after the Harvest Festival and take up space down there, and they bring 2,500, 3,000 people, something like that.
If anybody wants a temporary use on any of these things, Daryl's got a form on that. You can fill out a request, whatever. So that's possible.
Maybe that could be one thing that this group does, is promote that more as a source of revenue.
Promote
The ability to rent for temporary use, you know,
the event center.
yeah, well, just the open undeveloped land down the water, not necessarily competing with the already limited access to the waterfront now, but just the real estate that's not getting used. That's one.
Yeah, I mean, I just, I'm not like beating the dead horse here but I remember, wasn't the Expo Center part of you guys as well? The old one?
Yep.
Yeah, I was part of that all the time, you know, every winter with my job. And it was incredible. And I guess for you as a group to think about how can you raise money to evolve the waterfront. Parking is one. Another one is a facility to hold quinceanera, the community center, and or an expo center. Everyone wants to come to Hood River from all around, Tri-City, Boise, Seattle, Portland, Bend. Everyone wants to be a part of Hood River. And you're saying you don't have a lot of money to work with. I think you might be underestimating the amount of people that are going to throw money down to make it happen for you. But the key is what you do with that money, and to have the right facility that is bringing money in for you. Mark, you said it best, charge the out-of-towners to use things. And it could be an expo center, it could be a gathering place, it could be a hockey rink that all the kids now have something to do in the gloomy time, 6 months a year when it's raining out. You know, I'm just saying, I think you guys, the money will come from, it doesn't have to come from the port. There is a gold mine here and how do you make it right? That's what this is about, is brainstorm on how to make the waterfront right.
And I think that's kind of the draw of the foundation is we see that there are people that love and live at the water. You know, I grew up here, but there are people that come and they live here every summer. They're here from Memorial Weekend to August. They consider it their second home. There's probably a lot of them that would be willing and love to donate to a nonprofit that protects those spaces for them. The spaces that they bring their kids to, they have generations of this is where we go every summer, that doesn't tax the locals, but is being provided and cared for by people that use it every year for generations. So.
Yeah, we all know that wind is an issue here, right? And trying to make use of space when it's moving. So you had a facility with the Expo Center, and you look at Harvest Fest, for instance, that's toward the end of the windy season, but it's the gloomy days are starting to move in. So we have the rain to deal with and the wind to deal with. And again, I think on the waterfront, part of one of the magic ways for you guys to get income coming fast is a facility that is, you know, a modular facility that could be in scenarios or indoor lacrosse and soccer. This is a massive indoor lacrosse and soccer community. And all the kids have to go to Portland and they're not playing out in the rain and when it's blowing like crazy. Some of them are, but it's rare. You see what I'm saying? There's a facility that could be built affordable that maybe you don't even spend a dime on. It's the money's out there. And yet it's bringing money to the port. People are happy and it's evolving the waterfront in the way that you want it to evolve.
I love it. Well, I think we should wrap up because it's past 6:30, I think.
Yes, it's past 6:30.
Yeah.
So just I'm just trying to hear what everybody's saying, so we're gonna hear it. Would it be fair to say that people here believe that the foundation potential funds would be best used to support future access, safety, and experience on the Hood River waterfront?
Yep.
That specifically what that means would be up to a future group, but everybody saying that they think it should be used for development at Lower Hamilton or anything like that. So safety, access, experience on the waterfront, whatever people choose for that to be in the future.
I kind of scribbled stuff down.
I've been taking notes.
So I think, what would be best is for us to, try to come up with a consensus, purpose statement, for now, and then if people are interested in further conversation, for now, the current commissioners are the Port Foundation Board. That will probably change in the future. And so just to continue the conversation on how the foundation can be focused on the waterfront, and then later identify the specific projects. Does that sound accurate, Kevin?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the main thing is getting that mission statement,
Yeah.
purpose statement.
Yeah, mission statement. Down. So thank you so much for your time and your input. And if you are interested in continuing the conversation, I will definitely keep you in the loop. You want to come give me, I know I have most of your contacts, but maybe just write down your name and email. And
Yeah, sounds good. I definitely heard restroom accessibility, including like changing wetsuits, kid focused, because you have a lot of youth down there. I mean, I've got kids, and if the bathrooms are gross, we're not going, because every child goes to the phase where they completely take all their clothes off just to go to the bathroom, and that gets gross. So I'm hearing safety for sure, right? It's the things that will keep me from going. So yes, I'm hearing, it's a lot. I'm hearing accessibility. I'm hearing a little bit of traffic control on the water
Well,
with, just like,
access point,
like could Frog Beach, could there be a rope there for safety so people know not to swim farther out or those kinds of things?
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is run over a 10-year-old with your outrigger.
We rescued them. on
There you
the
go.
boat.
Well, yeah, because it's also a little sketchy.
So, yeah, and